Hello, folks. It's Friday night, and on this week's show, I'm joined by Justin, Ben, and Lloyd as we take you through a week's worth of tabletop gaming news. On top of that, one lucky viewer will get a chance to win the Victory Battlefleet for the crown in Dystopian Wars. If you want to be in with a chance to grab that big box set, you need to be a subscriber to the channel and post a comment below. I always check. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your Halloween weekend starts here. Happy Halloween, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Look at this. Would you buy a used game from any of these people?
Well, I've got a used Lyman Rust for sale.
A more wretched den of scum and villainy you're unlikely to see.
It's all ready. It's only a couple of days to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Monday.
Spooky season is here.
I got my pumpkin somewhere over here to carve tonight.
Right.
Yep.
You've gone American, have you?
That's
Use a
it.
turnip. What's wrong with the turnip? Apart from the fact that you'll break your hand doing it.
Hang on.
Exactly.
There was a year we did it where we did a pumpkin, we did a turnip, and I was left with a butternut squash.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm going to get a butternut squash. That's a good idea.
Oh, no,
Well, totally
don't. They're
tubular.
terrible. They're absolutely horrible to try and carve out.
Yeah,
Oh,
but they're very
dear.
tasty.
Yeah,
They are very
maybe.
tasty. They make good soup.
Oh, the smell of them when I was trying to take out the center with a Dremel.
Good spooky soup.
Just burnt butternut squash.
But that's your problem right there. A Dremel.
Uh,
Oh,
that,
my
that,
lord.
that bad boy's getting carved tonight. And
Other
the,
side light.
and the seeds are going in the oven.
My
Pumpkin
missus
seedy
was talking
time.
about doing roasted pumpkin seeds. Although there is a little pumpkin patch up the town,
Over there.
so I may nip up there to get a second.
Yeah.
Well,
Turnips. You're Irish. Turnips. Turnips.
I live with an American, though.
I don't care.
I live with an American, so it's okay.
They inherited it from us, and they went the easy route with their
This is
easily
already
carved
hollow.
and mostly hollow thing.
I do love that, actually, because I have some American mates I play Xbox with. And they were wearing costumes in their game. I was like, why are you all dressed up? And he said, well, there's this thing called Halloween coming. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's an American holiday.
Oh, it's specifically an American holiday.
I loved it.
wow.
Lovely.
Well, what they've done to it is very American. I'll give them that.
Same as Christmas.
I would have went
So
same as
good.
St. Patrick's Day as far as the two Irish holidays that they stole. And then just went, you know what this needs? This
Yeah.
needs fireworks and green ink into the river. You went, no,
Yep.
it doesn't.
Yeah, let's make that river green.
But anyway, remember, if you are going from door to door on Monday night with your masks on, it's not trick or treat. You're not in the States. It's Halloween is coming, and the goose is getting fat. If you don't do the proper song, you don't get anything at my door.
I'm
No,
just wait-
child, you have failed my test. Be gone.
I got my brush so I can push
Just push them,
push them away.
push them
All
away.
right, I thought you just swept the candy out the door. You know, just
Well,
door opens, Lloyd's at the back of the hallway with a golf club. Four.
Just
no,
stop.
I've got one of them shovels that you know the ones you put in the fireplace to do the coal. I got one of them so I can keep my distance and then
And what,
put a
I
candy in like
assume you
that.
have a disinfectant bucket, just big bucket of bleach. Just
I'm just
Ah,
impressed that you
germs.
haven't just decided to power hose them off your walls. Bye. Time to go. Anyway. Right. Before we kick in, you may have already seen that there's a big Victory Battlefleet set for Dystopian Wars available to win this week. Ooh. Unless you've jumped straight into this part, in which case
Look how
I don't
shiny.
know how you manage that. This is because from Halloween, funnily enough, we are going to be having a themed week.
yes.
Having a look at the new Sturginium Skies box and how to play and talking about the factions and all sorts of other good stuff. So myself and Justin and Chris from Warcry Studio spent many a happy hour in a sweatbox playing with ships. It was good.
I get to try and kick Jerry's toys in.
It was all good in the hood. John's even got a couple of painting tutorials he has whipped up for some of the bigger, new, shiny, floaty things from Sturginium Skies as well. So if you are interested in getting involved in Dystopian Wars, that week is going to be a great way to find out all about the various world factions and gameplay. So join us for all of that. But right now, we've got to get into the most important part of the week. It's the indie of the week.
Way!
What have you got for us this week?
I mean, oh!
Oh my God. So this week I thought we'd have a look at Seb games.
Do you know what's funny?
I'm not a furry. I'm not.
Oh God! Don't go there, man! Don't go there! Abort!
Methinks
Abort!
the lady does protest too much. Anyway, indie of the week. Here it is. Oh God, no! It's a dwarf.
Oh look,
with a
it's a
furry head
dwarf
on.
with a wolf. It's Ben! Ben in miniature!
Yes.
How could this possibly have happened? I don't know. Seb, if you're unaware, bought out Void from Scotia Grendel a few years ago and have been reinvigorating, recasting the stuff and tweaking the rules a little bit as well to get a whole new people into the wonderful world of Void. So I think we're going to start there because it's the one that drew me to Seb originally, although they do have a few other interesting ranges.
Is that a cucumber?
That is
That's his bow.
Oh, right.
I'm saying nothing.
I
Nothing
mean,
at all.
The swords on those kind of look like scallions.
So, many moons ago, when the world was young, 40k was, I think, still in its second edition.
Wow.
iCore released a game called Void.
Okay.
I think it was actually called Void 1.1 at the time. It may not have been. Anyway, it is a science fiction game, but it's not a grimdark. Humanity reaches the edge of the stars, and sort of mega corporations are more or less pushing forward and pushing their own objectives within various planetary systems. And then they start clashing. And that is the core concept behind Void. So you had 4 human factions. And then at one point they sort of bounced into what can only be described as a nebulous alien threat on the edge of the galaxy, which would be Corlon. So there are various humans, and they exist within the Void universe and have very sort of distinct feel and play behind them. So the Junkers are very Mad Max meets gladiators in space.
That's cool.
Yeah, which I always thought was good, clean family fun. I've got a really nice set of them somewhere.
Did you say you co-released this, or did I imagine that?
iCore.
Oh, iCore.
with a K.
That makes more sense because I was sitting thinking, if Jerry released this game, would he not make more of a deal of it?
This is my game. It is very pretty and shiny.
No, very much so. Very pretty.
What's the kind of model, the size of armies that you'd normally get for a game like this? Because if it was coming out around the same time as kind of early 40k and
early
stuff,
40k and
quite small, or is it?
And Warzone as well at the same time.
Okay.
So yeah, you were dealing with 40 to 50 models. Sort of tops. If you went beyond that, you would run into, well, you wouldn't run into problems. You'd just take all day to play a game, which is one of the things Seb is looking at to actually put together a smaller version. You can download like a squad-based game where instead of playing with multiple squads, you're just playing with a couple and then a hero. I always love the Sandrunners on their unusual bipedal lizards.
That's exactly what I need for Halloween. Push people away from the door.
Yep.
The ultimate T-Rex. It has no tiny arms.
Yeah.
Yep.
It has evolved beyond the need for tiny arms.
That way I won't lose boxing matches. The T-Rex's one problem, always being hit by boxers. But yeah, the Void range was, compact and bijou. And they had some absolutely terrific bits and pieces in it. Obviously, the Junkers were the bestest in the world ever. But who else did we have? Vasa. Vasa were very much we've got all the money and all the resources, and we're going to show off the best tech in all of Christendom. because Vasa.
The artwork gave me vibes of like Capital from Warzone as well there, but yeah.
I think they're a little bit more Cybertronic.
Oh, Mishima as well. Yeah.
Zoom them up,
like
Jerry.
those.
Go on ahead. Zoom the minis up. You know how to do it. There you go.
Whoa.
I do that, you freak out.
Oh,
I'm very aware of the freaking outness.
And how old is this range, Jerry?
I wouldn't say it was 93, 94.
Okay.
First came
they're
out.
pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, for miniatures that are nearly 30 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were
Sometimes the old ones are the best. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes you want that retro feel.
Yeah.
So one-piece metals in the main. See.
So they've not graduated to doing any of them in resin sort of now or anything. They're still working with metal at the moment.
Still working with metal. However, there are, I wonder if they have them in the Syntha. There are a couple of big vehicles that made it in the resin simply because you couldn't actually produce them in metal without killing someone, because it would just be like bricks, massive bricks of resin coming at you. Right. Zow.
Those are interesting.
Like those, yeah.
No, nobody likes those.
Look at those. Look at those classic sort of
like
plasma cannon style tops as well for their guns.
The little skimmer is very cool.
With the on buttons.
Yeah.
Hunter killers. Yeah.
Boop. Yeah.
How else would you be able to get it started? It's just the trick is to keep moving so that nobody can reach it.
Exactly.
Hit it off on the past.
Oh, crash.
Good. Anyway, so
Show us the one with the shield before you leave. Show us the one right at the bottom with the shields.
which one?
The one is, there you go. Those are the ones. Zoom in on those.
Ooh.
Be a Spartan.
Oh, I quite like the shieldy ones. In fact, I quite like these a lot, actually. If they had some big picks, this would be cool.
Although they're firing grape guns, so
They are found grip guns. There's nothing wrong with a grip gun. I'm just saying. You could crush a grape. Anyway, if I go back to the Void 1.1 bit, so the website itself obviously has the sort of breakdown of the factions, but then they also have the rule books available as well. So you can get started with this. It has a set of articles that Seb and other people have done explaining some of the pieces behind them. There's one of the new junkers.
So it's actively still being worked on miniatures-wise?
Yeah. In fact, there's the big resin git.
Oh, wow.
He was originally metal, if memory serves, but thankfully
the whole body and everything.
Yeah, but thankfully somebody has looked at that and went, "This is insane." Well,
This
it
is
was
a
much
nightmare.
cheaper back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, it reminds me of a thing I saw in one of the Final Fantasy games.
Oh, yeah. In Final Fantasy VII, when you're going into the Mako reactor at the start, they have vehicles like that.
The massive chicken-legged blocky walker with a gun underslung its chin reminds you of that and no other sci-fi.
Oh, well, also, yes. Also,
okay. No, it's fine. No, it's grand. No, I'll stay
The
here.
silhouette is closer to that.
We don't know what that other world is. Jerry.
Anyway, so Squad Tactics is the new sort of mini compact version of the game that Seb's come up with to sort of get people into it. But they also have all of the original PDF rule books in the various languages as well, and the Force books, which, while not necessary, were lovely. The Battle with Miniatures is the old article series.
And are all of the rules for the game free?
Yep. You can pick up printed copies for cash money. But let's just open that up there. If I press on this, then will it actually download for me?
Cash money.
For cash money, yeah.
Careful showing that downloads folder, Jerry.
It's all right.
Just beware, buyer beware.
It's not full of anything of interest. It's full of a lot of squirrel pictures, mind you. I will say. Anyway, so you can get your hands on the source books. The rule book itself was only about 70 pages long, and then the rules within that are like 15, 16 pages, and the rest was sort of background. And then the Force books sort of expanded upon that, which was really nice indeed.
Do they have a decent set of art and stuff and assets and things inside those books and things? Do we know? Or yeah, they are just they're the PDF versions of the original books that were released. Perfect. Yeah. Because that's the thing, because you'd wonder what kind of schemes to do for them and stuff like that. But obviously, if they've got the artwork then, and that helps out, doesn't it? So,
I mean, the nice thing is because it's just the far future. You think Infinity, think lots of clean lines on everything except the Junkers, who, are filthy
Kind of
space gladiators. In which case, just do them as dirty as you want.
lots of kind of like plastic armor and ballistic shields and that kind of thing and stuff. Yeah.
Everybody
Very
gets
cool.
all the shiny things all the time. The other thing he's been working on is Battle Havoc.
This is the one that I know him from, but only kind of recently over the last couple of years, I think. So, yeah.
And this is a fantasy
It's
game
weird.
system.
I can't take it anymore, Ben. Show us your face. For God's sake, show us your face.
I'm not showing you my face. I am a wolf.
I can't bring you anywhere, can I? Can't bring either of you anywhere. Anyway, Battle Havoc, fantasy-based game, which is sort of just being released at the moment. The idea is for a relatively simple sort of massed battle game. So it has the feel of very early Warhammer for people who used to play there when you would have 8 men in a unit, that sort of thing. Or another way to look at it is, individual men are more or less like
it becomes representative rather than
that photo above is like White Dwarf 1.
Old school.
Yeah.
Let's see some minis up close. Some archers, like the top archers I was interested in. Ones you scroll past.
Top archers.
Top, kicking up. There, get that group of archers on the right. Ooh.
Look,
there's only one archer.
It's like a hunter's set. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. Think of them as kind of like your Bugman's Rangers, but of the Battle Havoc.
With various animal heads. So boar head, pig head, badger head.
Looks like a squirrel head.
I'm pretty sure it's a cat. Another badger.
No wolf, though. It's all good.
Well, we've already seen the wolf. He was on the leader himself.
Yeah.
Those orcs come
orcs.
courtesy of Black Tree, and there's a few other Black Tree design things we'll see later on as well.
What I quite liked about the range as a whole is it's kind of got that feel of like old Hammer, Warhammer, Games Workshop stuff. But there's also like, obviously the aesthetic works with like War Games Foundry style stuff and all that kind of thing as well. So everything feels like it would match up quite nicely with what a lot of people maybe have in their collections, which I think is quite nice. So if you are coming to Battle Havoc and you have a bunch of the old models around, you could use these as kind of like use that as the basis for your armies before you dived into the new stuff, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah. So, Well, one of the main sort of driving forces behind it as well is the fact that you can play these big games with very small amount of models. Currently, there's only dwarves, greenskins, undead, and then I think a human league as your command for your foresters in the rules themselves. But I imagine over time that will expand as well.
Sweet.
He's definitely not a squirrel. Too big for a squirrel. Let's not worry about him. Anyway.
The squirrel.
Oh, there's the battle box, right? Let's see that. That's what I meant.
The battle box is really good, actually.
Yeah.
Comes some movement trays as well. Now we're talking.
Which appear just to be laser cut MDF.
Well, you mean literally just put them on biscuits of MDF, no lip.
Put them on coasters from your table at home. That's
just cut your beer coaster in half. Done.
But yeah, because you get is it orcs and dwarves in that one in the first set? I think that's it.
Orky barbarians coming at you like Cleopatra.
Oh, I love those. I love the bright green color scheme. It just screams the retro-ness.
The pot belly on them is quite cool.
Harad Silver Bear. Be all that you can be, and if you can't, then be a dwarf.
Wow, the nostalgia feels as strong with this. Really is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've traveled back 20 years.
Back when things were better. Miniatures were on 20 mil square bases that ranked up.
I think that's quite nice. I think that I really like about them, especially with what you see with the dwarves there, is that you've got that, like, they're clearly, I mean, obviously they're fantasy miniatures because they're dwarves, but I love that they've got that historical edge to them. So they feel like they've taken as they used to do back in the day,
Norman.
like the Norman sort of Norse Viking-y type thing, and roll with that, which I think is really cool. And it makes that, I think that's what gives it that sort of old school feel. I think that's very nice. Yeah.
But yeah, moving away from the sci-fi and the fantasy, there are a couple of other ranges. So Commando Strike is a set of World War II miniatures that they're working on, and specifically looking at things that don't get featured much. So in this case, starting off with the Royal Hungarian Army, which is, I have to say, fairly out there as far as a member of the Axis powers goes. Don't really get much of a look in. That's slightly changed, I suppose, since Fortress Budapest was done by for Bold Action by Warlord. So, but yeah, just being able to get your hands on Hungarian is one of those factions that, again, people sort of ignore, but there's some really interesting conflicts and battles in and around Hungary. So,
I got a sword. Is he drawing a sword?
Yeah, he's an officer type.
Wow.
Were these one of the guys that had like leftovers from World War One that they were using, like, or World War Two? They were supplied by the Axis, were they? Because like you get a lot of these armies with sort of similar looks to them. Yeah,
they got an awful lot of kit, like the Finns and some of the others from Germany. So they end up with a lot of either German actual produced stuff or stuff that was produced to pattern. So they had their own tanks and tank hunters that were, a bit dodgy on it. But then various bits of weaponry and the like that, they'd be given the schematics and it's like, go make these yourself. Panzer Schreck teams, very nice.
Are they just doing this as a kind of a bolt-on for people to use with other games, or are they looking at making like a small game for this as well? Or
at the moment, it's just a bolt-on, so it's just if you're after the more esoteric or the smaller nations. I really hope somebody comes to your door and you have to run down there immediately. Oh, not have time to get your hands off. But yeah, just so that people can get their hands on these. And like I say, the range is already fairly comprehensive. If you want to play the likes of Chain of Command or Bold Action, you'll be able to field an entire Hungarian force pretty much in its entirety with all the trimmings.
Very nice.
Flamethrower theme is just filth. Absolute filth.
They
always
are
take
horrible.
at least one. Yeah. That's how filthy they are. You should always take them.
I like those. They're really nice. And it kind of it goes to the thing that we've talked about on previous indies where we've been like, it's nice to fill in the gaps in history and play around with different armies that you wouldn't necessarily do. So
yeah, exactly. So an extensive range of Hungarians, just like Granville from Open All Hours. That's one for the kids. I'm all about throwing out the references for the kids. Last thing we'll have a look at is they do, obviously we've already seen some of the orcs come courtesy of Black Tree. They also have this range of grim swords who are very sort of heroic types from Black Tree. So I think we've looked at Black Tree in the past. Black Tree is a difficult one to look at because you're never entirely certain whether or not they're actually open.
Yeah.
But if you're after some interesting 20ml fantasy sort of hero types, heroes for your forces, you can find all sorts in here. Lots of thieves for playing games incorrectly. Just saying.
Well, a lot of these, because they're so individual, you can grab a ton of these and just go nuts in Frostgrave.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
definitely.
Play a game correctly.
But it's a skirmish game.
Yeah, that's why we played correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I heard
you're not attempting to shoehorn them into an RPG.
I'm sorry. The comm unit went down.
Too many explosions nearby.
That's her.
It's the commissar
really
yelling
nice
behind me, going, "Go forward or I shoot you."
That's it.
I love that guy. He's awesome.
Very cool.
You'd want to. I like painting books on miniatures, and that's just. I love that. It's got all the proper things.
It's the fact he's adjusting his glasses so you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, why do Justins always get a bad rap here? He looks terrible.
I didn't think he looked that bad.
He looks quite similar to you at the minute, sort of a fantasy version of you.
Yeah, fantasy version. Look how clean shaven he is.
Yeah. There was an unfortunate trimming incident. Moving on.
He's got the same rigging outfit.
You need to get back up to officer rank, Justin, so you can grow your hair back out.
That's what's different about you today. I was thinking Justin looks different, but I couldn't place it.
Because he's removed this beard to become that. Before.
It's the same picture.
But yeah, so a little set of
that's really nice,
fantasy heroes, which is always good to be able to get your hands on them. And handsome wizard with a flourishing beard and big hair. But yeah, I really like what Seb have been up to, sort of a mix of the old and the new, so to speak, and trying to get people back into things like Void 1.1, because it was a corker of a little game. There were an awful lot of them at that period that just seemed to have been blown away over time by the behemoth that is 40k, and then sort of forgotten about. So I think they're well worth the time taking a look, especially when you can just go in and download the Watch My Doodads.
Well, we saw what the community was like when everyone got that nostalgia hit for Warzone, when that was going to get revamped and stuff. Obviously, that's still in the works and still happening. But having something like that to go and check out as well sounds like a really cool idea. I'd love to give that a shot. See what it's like.
Worth checking out then. So that is Seb Games. And we are going to be right back with some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Okay, we are back to take a look at the news, and we've got a bumper package for you today. Ben, where are we kicking off?
Well, we're going to be diving in with a little bit of a sort of preview of something that's coming up in the near future. So the folks over at Free League at the end of last week announced that they're going to be working with Andy Chambers to create a new miniatures game.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's the man who is behind Battlefleet Gothic and Necromunda and a bunch of other games, including Drop Fleet Commander as well, with the folks at Hawk War Games and then TT Combat. So yeah, very cool. But yes, so he's working with them. And also the original author and designer of Mutant Year Zero, Thomas Harenstam, to create a new miniatures war game that is based around the Mutant Year Zero license. It's called Zone Wars. And as you can see here, they're going to be creating a line of miniatures, including some awesome ducks and all sorts of creepy, weird mutants and all sorts of fun things for you to play out sort of squad-based campaign games on the tabletop. They talked a little bit about sort of what they're planning to do with this. There was no sort of in-depth stuff about the actual rules themselves, as it were, at the moment, but they have said that it's going to be completely compatible with the Mutant Year Zero role-playing game. So you'll be able to switch between the two, meaning that you could use characters from the role-playing game in your skirmish games, and then you could also use the characters from your skirmish games in your role-playing games. So I'd assume it's going to be a very nice halfway house between the two, which I think is really nice to see. The Kickstarter campaign is going to be focused around creating a couple of different box sets of miniatures for you to use in your games. So there's going to be box sets that will include the miniatures that you see here, alongside paper terrain for you to quickly build things on the tabletop. There's also going to be a rule book in there, of course, including cards and dice and a bunch of other bits and pieces as well, which I think is really nice. So you've got your tokens and everything else that you'd want for playing the game. As I say, this is going to be coming to Kickstarter in the near future, so watch out for that one. But yeah, I think this looks really cool. Free League do amazing stuff, as we've looked at in the past with them. So it'll be very nice to see what happens when they step into the miniature wargaming sphere. So,
they have an awful lot of really good licenses.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really interesting licenses that you're going, whoa, if they made miniatures for that. I mean, if they're going to do the Mutant Year Zero stuff, I imagine Draka Octiminer or Dragonbane. I have to keep remembering what the English name is because it's different. Because
I just called it Draka Octiminer.
But yeah, Dragonbane. So you imagine if this is successful, then we'll see the fantasy version based around that would be excellent. And then obviously Vesson as well. Sky's the limit. Yeah.
I mean, they also own the rights to the book stuff for Lord of the Rings, and you never know. maybe we'll see something in that vein as well. That could be pretty cool because
that's true. Yeah.
Games Workshop have access to the movie stuff for the most part, so we maybe see something happening with the books potentially. You never know, but yeah, we'll see.
Time will tell.
Especially if it's done based on the artwork from those books, because chef's kiss or wolf's kiss. I don't know.
Right. Say nothing. Next up, we're going to be looking at actually some Dystopian Wars. Ooh. So if anybody's already picked up things like the Hunt for the Prometheus box set, which comes with sort of 2 starter fleets, or if they're thinking about getting the new Stygian Skies, Imperium and Crown fleet, then there's always the question of where do you go next? And what they've done at Warcradle is actually come up with a pair of boxes that go beyond the 2-player starter set and add stuff for both fleets, along with a whole host of other bits and pieces. So in both cases, you'll get something that brings out a new aspect or an upgrade to your current readied fleet. So this is the Stygian Sky with additional crown support, and then 2 of those massive colossi for
amazing.
the Templehof, I think, for punching people. But you can see in the background they actually also come with some terrain as well. And likewise, the Promethean set that goes beyond also has that same terrain, and there's a very good reason for that. And then we have the Enlightened and the Commonwealth? No.
No, it's... Oh, yeah, Enlightened and Commonwealth, sorry.
It is. That's all right. Okay. I've gone mad in my old age. That's old age creeping in on me. Anyway, again, adding some of these massive colossi for both sides, in this case, including the Enlightened's floating buglets that can explode on contact.
It is the Enlightened to the Commonwealth, yes. I've just checked, yeah.
But the interesting thing for me, apart from the ability to easily expand both fleets from the starter set into sort of more comprehensive forces, is the fact that they've decided to do it with these sort of packages that also contain the terrain pieces and the terrain pieces.
I really like those. Yeah.
They're bundled in because there's a little mini campaign booklet in both sets, in the same way that the 2-player starter sets have a mini campaign that sort of tells a narrative story. These are part and parcel of that. So when you're playing, you can play through another narrative set with your fleets, and then when you're not, you can just use them as additional bits and pieces on the tabletop for terrain, because when you've got a big open sea, it's sometimes difficult to put different terrain in. All you end up with is just icebergs or islands all the time, whereas having some abandoned fortresses or possibly manned fortresses taking pot shots at people as they drift past could always be a bit of a laugh. And say both sets come with one of these campaign books specific for the fleets in question. So Stygian Skies gets to see whether or not a Templehof can just lean on a crown ship and just push it under the water, watch the bubbles come up. I imagine that's what they do.
Pick it up and use it like a sword. That's
well, yeah, not that.
Go a little bit
Never
Pacific
that.
Rim.
Let's zoom out so we see that in its entirety there.
That one.
This is the one that comes in. All right, so there's another campaign then, in addition to the one that's in the starter set. Cool.
Yeah.
So each of the Beyond ones has one for their respective fleets.
Yeah.
And telling the story going forward. Yeah.
This is something I really like when companies do a Beyond box like this, because how many times have you got into a game, you've got your first few under your belt, you've had your fun with the starter set, and it's just like, where do I go next? But it's that major stumbling block that so many people have.
I like
obviously off to a battle platform in the middle of the North Atlantic for punchings.
I like the inclusion of the terrain. It's a bit like those islands that you can buy now, the big concrete ones that just sort of float around. Well, they don't float around, but you know, the ones
do you know how islands work?
Well, hang on. He's technically right, Ben. Plate tectonics.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying nothing. Right. Beyond the Beyond boxes, though, there are also some new fleet boxes on the way. So the Protector Battlefleet is coming. So this is more Canadian Crown nonsense. In this case, they thought, what would happen if we took our carrier and made it a submarine so that the people can't shoot at it until it arrives and then bobs up, which, is always
a very cool idea.
Yeah. Well, funny thing is, the Japanese in World War II actually built a submarine like that.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. It launched the scout plane.
Oh.
I have a feeling this one launches more than one plane.
Yes,
It
yes.
has all the hallmarks of something very, very filthy. I think they're leaning into their French side, that Crown Fleet in Canada. They also have their support vessels, obviously, with all the up-armoured hulls on the front there as well to get stumping in there.
Many torpedoes, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, well, you want some torpedoes.
Either way.
Yeah, but Jerry, you want all the torpedoes.
If life gives you torpedoes, make torpedo aid. There's also the Mexican Battlefleet, because things are kicking off down Mexico way as the Union are attempting to push further south and take chunks back from the various empires that hold sway over the South America. So the Mexican Battlefleet comes with that massive paddle-driven battleship. And also, again, more flyers, because everybody wants flyers these days.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. And I actually love the design of the little cruiser-sized aircraft carriers. Now, you can't see it very well on this picture, but you see behind the smokestacks, the actual elevator that brings your aircraft up is actually a circular elevator.
That's nice.
Very cool.
Like
I'll see if I can find a picture with another angle of that just to show you.
If I remember correctly, I think these, rather than being sort of planes, are more like miniature colossi or bigger version of Teslas.
Oh yeah, Tesla bots.
Yeah, they're sort of unions leaning into their more Teslated form. And then finally, there's the Ritage.
This is the funky one. I love this one. Yeah.
So this is the Sultanate moving into, I want to say, more the Egyptian flavor of faction. So the idea within the various empires, the likes of the Crown, obviously you have your British fleets, but then your Canadian fleet has its own little twist on it. And likewise for the Sultanate, while they are very much still part of the Sultanate's empire and fleet, some of them lean slightly in different directions. And some cases they're sort of influenced by orders within the Sultanate empire itself. But these are sort of the people coming off the Nile and doing the Lord's own work. In this case, the Lord may or may not be Ra. Who can say? But
the Ritage is like a portal ship that kind of can bamf stuff into battle, which I think is amazing.
It's stucky. It's Ra tells them to go and put a portal behind. I talk about this with Chris in one of the videos anyway. But the portal can leapfrog. But be orientated in different ways. So you can put a portal behind your opponent, and if your opponent is Crown, who have better armor at the front, and then you just start launching rockets through your end of the portal, and then they come out behind the Crown and into the side.
Cool.
Then you've avoided that terrible up-armored front. So there's filth like that coming as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing for the Sultanate fleets is the way they actually have their design stuff. There's a lot of it has a catamaran feel to it.
Yes.
And there's some of the cruisers that you can actually take two cruisers and slap them together with like a bridging piece in between and make a grand cruiser, which is a really nice piece of modular design.
Yeah, because at first glance I thought that was two ships, but that's actually one ship right at the top of that image with the generator in the middle.
Yeah. I think that's just such a cool aesthetic for them.
It also it stops everything having the same silhouette as well. When you're dealing with a lot of boats, it's nice to have some boats that look slightly different. So, but yeah, lots of interesting stuff coming. You'll be able to find out more about a lot of this stuff when
definitely.
Chris sit down and chat. Your future, my past. Time is strange.
Starting Monday.
Yeah.
By March. Right. Who's next?
So next up, we're going to be diving into a little bit of historical stuff. This one comes from Microworld Games, and I've started to go down this route of looking at a few more smaller scales currently in the news over the last couple of weeks. And one of those is going all the way down to itty-bitty 6 mil. And this is some very nice stuff for the Chinese warring states. So this is if you are looking to play out some sort of ancient battles with your Chinese forces on the tabletop. So these were originally arranged that got kickstarted not too long ago. And now they've become available over on their web store. And I've got to say, for 6 mil models, I think these are really, really well detailed, really nicely proportioned, have a really nice feel to them and look and everything like that. So they've done the command set, which we were having a look at before, and then they've also done a set of infantry as well. So you've got your spearmen, and actually a lot of it's pictured here, really. So you've got the spearmen, which are kind of your standard fellows with the shields ready. You've then got your heavy infantry, so your G infantry, and you've also got medium infantry as well, and then some cavalry elements going into the mix at the same time. So they've kind of really now covered the bases for sort of an entire Chinese Warring States army of that period, effectively. You've got all your basic stuff set and ready to go. As I say, 6 mil is one of those kind of scales that is, I think a lot of people should have a little bit of a look at, because small scale gaming is definitely the way forward if you want to play out big battles. There's an impressiveness to doing it in 28 mil, obviously, but I think for the sake of people's tabletops, maybe playing with a smaller set of models is the way to go. And as you can see, I think the detail on these is phenomenal. I love that you get to see all of the different armor segments. You get to look at their weapons and all their accessories and all that kind of stuff as well. And because they come in all the different poses too, it means you can make some really nice dynamic units. And you can obviously, at this scale, you're going to be playing things in footprints rather than, ranking up, etc. So you can do some really nice stuff with dioramas and vignettes and everything as well at 6 mil, which I think is quite nice.
I mean, you could have some fun painting these up. You could do them as like a full terracotta army or like a full jade army.
Yeah,
you could get them super easy. You
could go like proper full-on fantasy style if you wanted to. That would be a really nice way to go, especially playing around with a lot of those fantasy games that just use footprints as their way forward. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, fantastic battles.
Fantastic battles would be a good one. Yep. The other thing that I really like about these is, obviously talking about painting there, is the idea that you could paint them in very different ways very quickly. Like a lot of people will think that small scale gaming, and I know this is a myth that has long been dismissed almost, takes longer. In actual fact, in many cases, it's easier, because you could either go down the route of just doing the base coats and then put a wash over them and they're done, or just spray them in one of those kind of base sprays from Games Workshop or whatever, and then use speed paints and contrasts, and away you go. It's basically doing everything for you, really, which is quite nice. So yeah,
you had to click it.
I didn't have to, but I was thinking, are there any chariots about?
Oh, yes.
And while there may not be any for the specifically for the Warring States Chinese, although he does look about right for it.
Yeah, there are Chinese chariots. Yeah. So,
but I would have cried if there wasn't.
So yeah, I mean, some really nice designs, as you can see, and the set, well, the collection has expanded very, very nicely since the Kickstarter came out, and all of the basic stuff is there for you to work with, which is always good to see. So yeah.
Including Dark Age stuff for your Games of Saga.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of creators out there that do small scale stuff, and Microworld are definitely up there when it comes to sort of between sort of 6 through to 15. So
it's very small. It's down there.
Down there. Yeah.
That was
down
close.
There. Yeah.
That was close. We nearly did another Indie of the Week there.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe we'll come back to it.
That's true.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to be happening in the future.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, moving away from the Warring States and back to Halloween chat then.
Oh,
yeah. So the folks at Cubicle 7 have put together 2 awesome Halloween adventures for you to dive into with your role-playing games, be that Age of Sigmar Soulbound or Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So the first of these is going to be taking place in the cursed city of Ulfenkhan, and this is Vosheim's Holdouts. So in this, you play as the Soulbound characters, which we've looked at in the past when we've done Let's Plays and all that kind of stuff. And normally you go down the route of playing these big, larger-than-life heroes like the Stormcast Eternals and all this kind of thing. In this, you're going to be using the Age of Sigmar Soulbound Grim and Perilous rules, which means that things are a lot tougher and a lot harder. And you're going to be playing as a bunch of characters that come pre-generated in the pack, which is always nice. And you're going to try and survive the night in Ulfenkhan, the cursed city, whilst the vampires are prowling around on the streets and trying to kill you. Maybe there'll be a few werewolves as well. But yes, some really nice stuff there for Age of Sigmar Soulbound. Make sure you pick this up. This has been designed as a one-shot session, so you could set it up on Halloween on Monday, dive in and just have some fun with it and see what you think. The second of these is for the other end of the Warhammer world, going back to the world that was. And this is Skeleton Crew. This, again, is a one-shot that's been designed for you to play in one session. And this one takes place on the Sea of Claws, which was recently expanded upon in one of their supplements called, funnily enough, Sea of Claws. Yeah. And this will have you playing as a crew of heroes who have been sent to make sure a cog full of the dead manages to get to their resting place before things go bad. But as you can see from the artwork, things never go quite as easily as you'd think in the old world. There's always something in the background.
I've got that ship. It's chasing them. It was one of the, what was that terrible book game? Dreadfleet.
Yeah.
It was the undead one.
We still have a copy kicking about in here.
Yeah.
Everybody has a copy.
In a corner.
Everybody thought it was going to be Man of War, and then we got it and discovered it was not.
You need some skulls to chase me around, Jay. Look, I get you a skull. Green, you can green stuff that.
I've got one too.
I was getting my Games Workshop on there.
That is interesting.
Got to be skulls and everything.
Yeah.
Also, make sure to pick that up. You'll be trying to battle against Captain Vangheist and his ship, the Shade Wraith that we saw there in the background, for another little bit of a one-shot. So if you like your Warhammer and you like role-playing and you want to have some fun on Halloween Eve, I guess, then you can dive in and have some fun with that over the next couple of days for either the world of Soulbound and the Mortal Realms or the Old World. So go and check it out.
Or if you aren't planning on playing a game this Monday night and you just want to watch us doing it badly, then you can do that as well. Are the older adventures still available?
Yeah, so all of the older Halloween stuff is available. So if you want to watch us play Feast of Blood, which was the one that we did with Cubicle 7, I think it was last year. Then you can go and pick that up and see whether or not you can do better than we did. So
shouldn't be hard.
Low goalpost here.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time opening things that we probably shouldn't have opened. So it was the
time.
Anytime I'm in a role-playing group, there's always one person who has to get babysitted by the others.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on, it's not my turn again, is it? Stop touching things.
And if you're part of a role-playing group and you don't have that person, then it's you.
The more you know.
Right. Flames of War then. Campaigns are the order of the day this year, it seems.
So Bold British came out quite recently, so you've been able to get your hands on the core set and the book and all that kind of stuff. But kind of alongside that, they've released a set of sort of accessories and all that kind of thing that will help you sort of delve deeper into your game. So the first one of these is actually kind of like a little bit of a repackaging, but also sort of like an update of one of the campaign packs they've done before. So this is the Firestorm campaign for Operation Market Garden. And inside this set, you'll get everything for playing out that kind of market garden campaign on the tabletop. It's basically been designed for a store or a club or just a bunch of friends to dive in and start playing out a really fun campaign using the Flames of War rules. And also, this is kind of like a little bit of a game within a game at the same time. So I saw a lot of people actually saying that they've just picked up this set and literally just played out the campaign bit and sort of done everything with that on the larger map, which I think is really nice. So you could go down two different routes with it, however you like to do so. A really fun one for people diving into playing as the British and wanting to take on the Germans in the sort of bold British fashion, which is quite nice. Alongside that...
So just to clarify, so they played the campaign but didn't do any of the battles?
So they played the campaign out, but everything was done on the map, and they didn't play with any of the miniatures when they did it, which I think was quite cool.
So how did they resolve the battles?
I have no idea.
Dice off. You rolled a 5 and I rolled a 6.
Yeah. There might be specific campaign rules in there.
I think there are for playing out stuff on there.
Because you'll hit multiple encounters, but you might not want to play every single game as a game. You know, if you've got 5 actions cropping up across various roads and paratroopers and all the like, you might go, well, we've got time to play 1 or 2 games this week, so we'll do those and then we'll push on.
The others in a different way.
Yeah.
Because I know Bolt Actions Combined Arms does that. You can choose to either resolve it using the mechanics of the campaign, or you can play it a full game. So
sweet.
Something definitely to check out. Alongside that, we've also got a couple of gaming sets that came out for the Bold British. So there are sets now for the British Airborne, if you want to do it themed that way, the 7th Armoured and the 11th Armoured companies. And this means you get a set of themed dice, as you can see there, alongside the sort of acrylic plastic tokens for use just in general for all the kind of conditions that you'll be affected by during your battles, and also you get those really nice objective tokens as well. You get 2 of those in each set, which is quite nice. So if you are someone who has everything for the bold British already, or just the British in general, then maybe this would be a nice present for them to go and pick up.
And you can grab them at stored on tabletop.com.
Yes, you can.
I was going to go swing, but I don't have the t-shirt.
No swing.
Going back to that campaign, though, do you know what might be kind of cool is if you got a set and your mate got a set, and you played it at distance, like I'll have my campaign in my house and you have your campaign in your house, and you do that thing like where
so you don't know where the enemy are until you both enter the same square or like an adjacent square.
I guess you could do it that way. I was thinking more like the way that you play a chess game at distance where you know where everything is.
I was thinking something along the lines of battleships.
Yeah, but that way you can play through the game and then you decide whatever state you're in on the Saturday, that's the battle you have.
That would be cool.
And then you play the next week. I don't know how long it takes, but if you played the next week and then whatever state you were that weekend, that's the battle you have. That'd be kind of sweet.
Yeah. And it gives you prep time in case you're, catching up on painting.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really nice about this now as well is because Games Workshop.
No.
That's a Freudian slip. Because Battlefront have gone down the route of making those new command card sets and stuff where you can add like famous individuals or particular fighting units from the time. You could really tell out very specific stories and really delve into the narrative side of things, which I think is quite nice, especially with that campaign set. However, if you want to go down the other route and do something a little bit more competitive, then there's also another set that's been brought out for clubs and stores to pick up, which is the Flames of War Challenge board. So this has been designed for you to run ladder tournaments and all that kind of thing on the tabletop. So it's effectively a big, lovely poster that you'll be able to put up in your store. And alongside that, you'll get tokens and all sorts of other bits and pieces for you to use on the tabletop. You've got little tiny dog tag name tags, which I think is quite nice that you can put on the board.
Done in the old German style.
And so, yeah, it's basically just a really nice way to set up like proper competitive tournaments in your stores and clubs and stuff, and just have fun that way. So there we go. Something fascinating for stuff.
Yeah. I'm deeply interested in I never picked up the old Firestorm campaign. So I'm not sure how this one compares. So I'd be tempted to pick this one up for Flames of War anyway. I know a few people were looking at it going, the problem is it will be too tournament-y, too pointsy. But I have the Normandy campaign that Battlefront did, and it contained the order of battle. So you had the actual units that were involved there. I went, if you plan on replaying it, this is how you do that. And I imagine it's going to be the same for this campaign. Here's your order of battle. Here's who was there and where they were. And then it's up to you to take them forward. But if you don't have the requisite miniatures, then you can play these in a similar way by doing X, Y, or Z. So either they give you restrictions or they give you points values if you want to refight something less historically accurate.
Well, because we saw in the image they gave that sheet with a breakdown of the units that were available, so I reckon that's probably what they've done. So, very
I know a few people were questioning, but based on previous campaigns, I imagine both are applicable depending on how accurate you want to be with your World War II gaming. Moving on to the Warcry.
Yes. So it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but there's a new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry set that has been announced. Oh, yes, I hear you cry. Another one? It's just what I wanted.
But you hear the wallet cry.
That's exactly true.
Do they release a new one every time there's a new Prime Minister? if so, somebody needs to stop that.
Be the case.
I mean, it kind of feels like they're playing past the parcel, but... Okay.
I don't know. I don't even think Games Workshop could even compete with that release schedule.
But yes, so this is Warhammer Age Sigmar Warcry, Sundered Fate. This is a new set that comes with 2 new bespoke warbands for both the Seraphon and also those people who love their chaotic stuff. You'll still be fighting in the Gnarlwood as you were in the last set, but they've kind of expanded things and sort of taken things closer towards that void ship that fell from the sky from the Seraphon. And in this case, the Hunters of Huanchi are going to be trying to defend that void ship from the encroaching forces of the Jade Obelisk, as we'll look at in a second. But this is the Skink Warband, which comes with a whole bunch of possibly the best skinks, which are chameleon skinks. Oh, everyone loves chameleon skinks.
-1 to hit.
I mean, I feel sorry for this one little guy who's just got the horn, and it's just like, oh wait, no, I meant my blowgun. Damn it!
He's got both. Don't worry.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't get his hands mixed up when somebody's running at him.
That's true.
And instead of taking him out, just gives him a quick chin.
And does a suck in. Oh, no, I've inhaled the needle. Oh, well.
Oopsie.
But
the raptor things are kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. I love the sort of pterodactyl creatures in the background. I think they're really nice. Obviously plays into that idea of the Seraphon having lots of dinosaur-themed stuff.
Is that a bell on one of them?
I think it's like a little gold collar, like a name tag. If I please return to...
Yeah, because they've got little rings around their feet as well.
Yeah.
For carrying messages.
Maybe they're like racing pterodactyls or something. Yeah. But I can't remember, what were they called back in Warhammer, in the old world, that you could have skinks riding on the back of pterodons?
I think they were pterodons or pterodactyls.
They're just called pterodons? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I could lift the book off that shelf, but I'm not going to.
Oh, the laziness.
But yeah, so you get 3 kind of winged creatures to use in your warband alongside a huge amount of chameleon skinks that are no doubt going to have some fun, stealthy rules and poison weapons and all that kind of thing to use in Warcry.
One of them is a Bolas or Bolaness.
Yeah. Going up against them.
A ball ass? Which one has the bold ass?
The Bolognese.
I can't face palm because I don't know where my face is.
I cannot feel my face.
Yeah. And going up against them, we have the cult of the Jade Obelisk. And this is a Tzeentchian cult that hails from the city of, and I put this down because I couldn't remember it, Nefikar. And they are a peoples that live within this sort of Gnarlwood as it's expanded. And to gain powers, they made bargains with a god, which turns out obviously to be Tzeentch, but obviously in a different guise. And now they have gained magical powers and all sorts of different abilities, but their bodies are slowly turning to stone, which I think is really cool. So they're going to all turn into living statues by the end of it, which I think is nice.
So not masks then, actually just...
it could be one of the two. It could be. I think they're masks, but...
They're being very teasy with the way they're looking at people, though. So...
It's all side-eye.
Yeah, it's all side-eye.
Yeah, although this poor guy on the left, he's then just, he rocks around as soon as someone's mouth covers up. It's just like, no, I got you. Go have dinner.
But yeah, you get a really nice set of miniatures there, I think, which again will take things in a different direction and sort of go down the route of exploring the Chaos Gods via their different sort of aspects within the mortal realms, which is always nice to see, and sort of exploring another human civilization within the mortal realms at the same time. I think again, this is one of those box sets where I'm pretty sure that I like both of the warbands in this set. I think they're both pretty cool.
I mean, sometimes they can be really polarizing, but they've nailed it this last couple of times.
Yeah, I think they're very nice. Very nice, different aesthetic from a lot of the stuff that you normally see as well. So it's always good. Especially with the way that the hair's done and everything like that. Feels very sort of Minoan creature kind of thing, which I think is quite nice. And sort of goes into the idea of like labyrinths and mysteries and all that kind of thing, and Midas and stuff.
I was looking at their very quilty armor.
Yes, very much so.
Which is a very nice touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, sweet to the beat. Right. But more from 40k then.
Yes.
Yay.
So there's a couple more things to look at for 40k. Oh yeah, and there's some new scenery. There's some new scenery.
There is new scenery.
There we go. So yeah, it builds on what they've done before. So you've got muscular trees with big claws on them, and lots of bony stuff as well. So it builds on the stuff that we saw last time. So you can make bigger tabletops. There you go. But yeah. Moving on from that, we've got some 40k. So it has now finally become the time where the Leagues of Votann are going to be released properly for everyone.
This is the updated codex.
This is the update, yeah. I wonder if it'll actually be there. That would be interesting.
Please tell me they had to reprint all the custom ones that came out in those sets.
Well, I suppose we'll see them. It'll
just be FAQ'd.
Yeah. Or someone went through with the biro and just crossed everything out and did it again. So it'll be like Phil Kelly actually signed your stuff.
Ben, can you even hold a biro at the minute with those wolfy paws?
Let me try. Yes. I can notary anything.
So it's Leagues of Votann Redacted Edition.
Yes.
Yes.
So we've looked at all this stuff before, so we'll just whiz through it all. It's all going to be available to pre-order this weekend from us here at on Tabletop, so go and check it out over at the store. So yes, you're going to have the codex, you're going to have the new dice, you're going to have the data cards, you're going to have the character Uthar the Destined, you're going to have the combat patrol that we're looking at there. very cool stuff for you to get started with.
The dice are cool.
I really like the dice. I think they look very nice indeed. It'd be interesting to see how they look on an actual tabletop rather than just a white background, because I wanted to see whether or not you can actually see the numbers okay. But it seems like they're pretty cool. So anyway, you get Uthar the Destined, which can be built as a normal Carl. You get the Einhir Champion. You get the Grimnir, which is basically like a space wizard. Space Gandalf.
Space Odin, surely.
Space Odin, yeah.
He's only got one eye.
Yeah. You get the Brokia Ironmaster, which is sort of like your engineer if you're going down a dwarven route, who comes hanging around with some more of his iron kin, as you can see, which is quite nice. You then have all of your core stuff. So you have the Hearthkin Warriors, you have the Chthonian Berserks, you have the Einhir Hearthguard as well. So you've got your elites and your heavy armor, you've got your big upfront melee units, and you've got your core troops that you can see there, looking very nice indeed. And then to cap everything off, we've got some vehicles to have a look at as well. So there's the Hernkin Pioneers, which are the zoomy things.
Zoomy
trikes.
It's 3 Roombas.
It's 3 Roombas attached to a bike that lost its wheels because that was on a council estate.
Must have watched Hocus Pocus too.
Yeah. So you've got these rocking up, which look quite nice, alongside the Sagittar, which is kind of like the transport vehicle for the Leagues of Votann. There'll be moon buggying around, shooting things in low gravity, no doubt.
I still say it looks like a Space Winnebago.
They're
very thick roll bars on that.
Well, there's a lot of big, thick stones
in space.
Yeah, space stones. Yeah,
space stones.
I can see that sort of flying across an asteroid as it tries to land on another asteroid,
like Mass Effect style or something.
Oh, not Mass Effect.
Armageddon.
Oh, Armageddon. Yes.
We're just missing Rockhound on the gun at the back.
That's true. Yeah. I forgot that because Deep Impact's better than Armageddon, but there we go.
Oh!
And
so
then,
war was declared.
Last of all, we have the Hecaton Land Fortress, which is just a big piece of plastic. Rah. So if you're wanting to kick off things and basically blow everything off the table with one vehicle, then you have this as well. So yes, and interestingly enough, that is literally everything for the Leagues of Votann for 9th edition, at least as far as their codex is concerned at the moment. So if you're looking for an army where the choices are there, but they're not astronomically huge, like Space Marines, for example, I can't see, there we go, right? Then maybe go and check out the Leagues of Votann, because they're a pretty darn good army, even with the sort of debuff they've had recently, and not too much to choose from, and looking quite nice because they're all new plastic models. So there we go. Check those out.
Wacky.
But
fun.
Wait, there's more. Because Private Macaulay over there.
you had to take a second to remember my
I
surname.
did, yes. I also, I guess I've doxed you. Private Macaulay over there. What about if I told you that there was a big tank that you could ride around on the back of? Would you want it?
Yes.
Right, cool, fantastic. I've ordered one. This is one coming to an Imperium force near you. This is the Rogal Dorn battle tank, because Leman Russ needed to be shown up.
Apparently.
The Rogal Dorn battle tank is rolling into the action. It is huge. I showed this to John, and he put up a little SpongeBob I need it meme, which means that he's probably going to buy 2 or 3 of them.
Depending on what his force organize.
Well, that's true. It is huge. It comes with 2 massive battle cannons if you want to go down that route. There's also 2 other ways for you to build its turret mount. You can also add sponsons onto the side. And then there are also guns in the hull, because who wouldn't want those? You know what? I'm even going to read every single one of the weapons off to you, because I'm that kind of person.
2 heavy stubbers, Demolisher, twin battle.
Yes. So, yeah.
And then
it can have
bolters on the side.
It can have 2 battle cannons, or it can have an oppressor cannon, because, of course.
All about the oppressing.
Yeah. Then it can have a coaxial auto cannon on the side. Plus, oh God, it's hard to scroll in gloves. It has a castigator Gatling cannon, a pulverizer cannon. Plus, there's even more to come. Heavy stubbers or melter guns on the somewhere.
Heavy stubbers
they're on the other one. They're down in the hull.
There we go. Yeah.
Heavy stubbers are on the front.
Yes.
Yeah, the melters are down the front, and then you've got multi-melters on the sponsons.
Yes, multi-melters or heavy bolters, and then away. And then, of course, there's a heavy stubber on the top for the person who's brave enough, which means you, Private Macaulay, to stand on the top and fire while the enemies are coming.
I have but one gripe with this vehicle. I love the new design. I love that they're doing more stuff for the Guard. It has one problem. There are too many different weapon types on this vehicle.
That's how they make you buy multiple sets.
It's going to take you a half hour just to work through all your weapon profiles.
Fire all the weapons.
Yeah. It's what's the big Primaris tank? The Repulsor?
Not if you're
It's going to have the same problem as that.
Not if you're playing John, though. He'll only ever fire one and then give up after the first one doesn't hit and go, I don't want to fire the rest.
I'd say shot fired, but which one?
Who wants to be that guy on the back? Nobody wants to be that guy on the back.
I volunteer as tribute.
Because some twit is going to be turning the turret and your ass is going to be facing the enemy. And you're like, what? Turn me back.
Oh, dear. One thing that I know a lot of people have really liked about this is that the kit comes with the stowage.
Oh, yeah, all the stowage is cool.
The amount of people that have gone, stowage is the way forward. I love the stowage. I'm going to use that on my other tanks and all that kind of thing as well. So it seems like this one has gone down fairly well with everybody from that likes the Astra Militarum in 40k and stuff. So if you're looking for a really big tank, bigger than the Lehman Russ and all that kind of stuff, then maybe go and pop one of these.
I will bet you that it will have a bigger price tag than a Lemon Russ.
Probably, yes. Someone has also pointed out.
Hey, they've got the Kyrian Gate.
Who was the guy?
Wrong shoulder.
Who was the guy who got his head cut off by the Emperor's Children Primo? No,
the Krogan.
Yeah, someone will know. God damn it, my joke is falling apart before my eyes. Not Perturabo. Did he get his head cut off? I can't remember.
What are you blathering on about?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm going to write the joke in the comments instead, and people will laugh at it. Doesn't matter.
Failed. You failed.
I failed.
Good day, sir.
I should have prepared my joke, but then that means that I'm not improvising. Never mind. Oh, well.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
If you need any proof, this is completely unscripted right there.
The interesting thing for me is now that they've ambiguated the Primaris version of the Russ, when is the Chimera coming?
Yeah, or the Basilisk.
Yeah,
well, the Basilisk is a Chimera variant, so they need a new Chimera first.
Is this going to replace the Russ then? Are people going to stop buying the Russ?
Possibly, depending on what the rules are like for this.
It's exactly the same as Space Marines and Primaris. Why buy the lesser version when it's got worse rules?
But if it's a lot less points and you get more of them,
they've made new Cadians that are much bigger and would almost dwarf the Russ. Therefore, they need a bigger tag, and those guns are all there because it will therefore have better rules than a Russ.
So, how long until bigger, badder Ogrins? Although I suppose they did them not too long ago.
Yeah, the Ogrins are relatively new, but the Chimera and the Russ have been around since day one.
And then you've got the Valkyrie that you're going to need to up.
Again, this will hit the third-party makers of alternative tanks and things because the footprint of the tanks will have changed.
Yeah, but again, it gives them an opportunity to do a whole new line of stuff for people.
I also reckon a lot of people will find a way to bodge the weapons anyway to fit tanks and all that kind of thing.
Well, a heavy bolter's a heavy bolter.
Yeah. But,
I just mean like the 40k crowd really like the footprint of their alternative tanks and stuff too.
Yeah, but it gives them an opportunity to make something new, to give them a new product to sell to people.
Well, I suppose so. Because I'm looking at tanks for my Death Corps, and I was going to go alternative tank, and now I'm wondering, should I go alternative tank, or I'm going to roll out something that's got the wrong footprint, or do I really care? I don't know.
Or do you
I wouldn't care.
The people that you play against, Lloyd, aren't going to care.
None of us. Yeah. None of us care. You put whatever you want on the table and call it whatever you want. You want to put down a swarm of Cromwells from 15 mil Battlefront and tell me that those are Chimeras. You do you, son.
Yeah.
You go nuts. I'm quite content with that. Right. That's enough of this jibber jabber. We'll have a quick swish and come back to round out the show. Okay, folks, we are back and we're going to be having a look at some 3D printing.
Yes.
And Benjamino has found puppetry for us.
I have.
The gentle art of puppetry.
Yeah. But is it worry puppetry?
It is, thankfully, for all us war gamers. Instead of going to my mini factory and Patreon and all that kind of stuff, I thought I would have a look at the folks from Puppets War. So Post-War have been around probably since the beginning of time at this point, probably. I think that's historical fact. And most people will be aware of them for their resin and plastic and bits and stuff that they can use for sort of making up armies on the tabletop of Space Marines and Tyranids and Orcs and all that kind of stuff.
Flame elementals.
Yeah, I can't believe it's not Warhammer range.
Exactly, yeah. But over the last little while, Puppets War have actually been designing a bunch of digital products to go alongside it all, which allows them to dive in and create really interesting models for you to download and play around with at home. So you have things like Orc Walkers, which I think are amazing, and it's still October, so it counts. So there we go. But yeah, they've obviously taken all of the techniques that they've learned from creating their standard range of miniatures. A lot of this time, that stuff will be digitally done anyway, especially in the last couple of years. And so then taking that to make some really fun stuff for use on the tabletop.
Is that bottom stumpy one on the left there doing the thriller dance?
Thriller, which again is very
just saying
befitting for Halloween. But there we go. But yeah, they've got some really big stuff. They've got smaller stuff as well. They've got squads. Anyone just call out what they want to look at. I mean, the Bug Blade Lord is pretty awesome, especially if you're looking to be playing a lot of one-page rules, Shay, and you want to have a Alien Hives leader, Shay. So yeah, very nice if you're going down the kind of Tyranid route. But obviously, as you can see by the sort of face that they've done for it, they've got kind of like the alien vibes going on, which I think is quite nice.
I mean, Shay is looking at picking himself up a 4K resin bath printer.
Well, there we go. That would be something for him to potentially try out for himself.
He's a big boy.
Yes, big bug boy.
No point in having a small bug leader.
Exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be a Bug Blade Lord. It might be like a duke.
A duke.
What's the not dreadnought like at the very top?
The Strider Walker. This one.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's a bit like that.
It's giving me vibes of the Ed 209.
I like it. It's a bit more polished, a bit more sci-fi.
That reminds me of like a...
Oh, look at the one with the little head in it.
Yeah.
It's like Johnny 5 is really annoyed.
that would work really well in like an Enforcers.
Yeah. I was thinking Enforcers, Warpath.
For the Striders.
Yeah. Very nice.
Or it's a bit Tau-like, so it could be human.
True.
Humans enrolled into Tau. So if you look on Tau suits that aren't Tau suits because they're not quite Tau.
They're run by humans instead. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, nice. Yes. You can have some of our technology, little monkey, but not the good stuff.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Especially from a Tau. Moo, moo, moo. It's the noise of Tau makes.
Let's see the Orc Bikers.
These Nork Bikers.
Now, this is pod racing.
I thought for a moment he was holding on to that.
Swinging a bike around.
Those are pretty cool.
He may well be holding on to that.
Yeah.
Like a big balloon. Like an orky holiday helium balloon. Towing it behind.
Yeah. I mean,
they always do great orc faces, Puppet War.
Yeah. See, I love the fact that with these digital files, once you have them, you can make as big a unit of Orc Warbikers as you want.
Yep, very much so. Yeah. And also, the thing that's always nice about this stuff is that it's in keeping with the aesthetic of, familiar games, like Warhammer 40,000 or something, but with enough in there to make your army start to feel a little bit more unique from your mate's Orc army and stuff like that, which is always nice. So we'll just crack open some of these squads and have a look at them and see what they're like. And it'll be cool.
There's a bug squad of brute things.
I mean, that's amazing. The other thing that's quite nice for these is they wouldn't necessarily have to just be used for sort of wargaming in the sort of like, in that sense, I reckon you could use these for board game stand-ins for things, or if you were going to be going down the route of something less mass battle and instead playing some skirmishes.
Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss, Maggie.
Alternate miniatures for something like Core Space.
Yeah, Core Space or Frostgrave or not Frostgrave.
They look a bit like Gears of War too, these ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And a bit Doom. Not Doom.
Doom. I suppose it depends. It depends how you paint them. If you paint them as demonic creatures, then immediately you're suddenly getting a really fun, awesome demon army rather than it being an insectoid one, which I think is quite nice. I love those.
Waka 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 waka.
Yeah. What did they call these in the end?
Packbots?
Packbots. That's amazing. I love
Pac-Man
that.
vibes all the way through. You just need to put a little bow on top of one to make Mrs. Packbot.
Well,
They're just ridiculous. I love those.
They're really nice. A lot of people are looking at that module orc that we looked at a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things would be really nice to sort of drop in as sort of squiggy, trappy bomb things as well.
Ooh, I'm digging these as alternate Grey Knights.
Ultimate Grey Knights.
Alternate.
Oh, right. Alternate. I was like, Ultimate Grey Knights.
Both can
See,
work.
what we do is we put a Grey Knight inside of a Grey Knight.
That's what the Dreadnought was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we see those things, the tech assistants in the middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And can I see the Ninja Strikers?
Uh,
Bottom
Also,
right.
he's a ninja.
Those are awesome.
They're creepy. It's that Japanese horror thing where it's just like a head and a spine.
Yeah.
It's like that, but in insectoid, macroid form.
Imagine those as kind of like Necron slave creatures or something.
Oh no, those are servo skulls, and they just ran out of grav motors. You must block.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the Brainiac version from the failed Superman Lives project. All he needs is a big cloak round him. People think he's a human. Wow. Yeah. And then he like tosses the cloak aside. It turns out he's just all spidery limbs.
I like those though. They are very nice.
Reference. Look, some blights.
Ooh, Nurglings.
I don't think they're Nurglings. Based on the size of that, if that's a human.
They might be like sort of minor demons,
We might get a size comparison. But then I suppose 3D print could be Nurglings.
Well, that is a person strapped to his standard, so that does give you a little bit of
but
idea.
if you scale them down, it's a child strapped to it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, there we go.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's that grimdark going on. Yeah.
Hey, I'm dressed for the occasion.
Yeah.
These ones.
Oh, these are cool.
Ninjas. Oh, it's very small.
They're very far away and hidden. That's what.
Yes. Well, again, they're ninjas. They must be small and hidden.
But what's quite nice about that is you get the pack of them rather than just like files for a particular model in a particular pose. Yeah. So you get all the modular elements and then build them and pose them however you like, which I think is really nice actually.
What's that? 12 head variants?
Something like that. Yeah.
Looks like that. What's up?
Hey, look, there's me if I died.
Yeah. We're moving away from it though. What else we got? Ooh, Paladin chess set.
Ooh.
That's different.
What's the little there's a little diorama one there, what I see?
Yeah. I quite like that. That's really nice.
That's cool, yeah.
Because you could obviously that's been designed as a chess set, but all of those are just statues to put around your battlefield, basically.
Yeah, but if you want to do them as a chess set, you just print in 2 different colored resins.
That would be also a good idea. Yeah. Very cool.
What bottom right? What's that little diorama looking thing?
This.
The Bushi skirmish diorama.
It's a Bushi skirmish diorama.
I like that.
So it's a clash between a bunch of power armored samurai, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah, but as we all know, you always paint up powered armored samurai like stormtroopers and Darth Vader.
Oh yes.
Which means this guy in the middle is probably Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan and Anakin having a pop in.
There's a reactor.
This week
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Yeah, sorry. Jeez. Oh God!
In fact, I think that's what that is actually. Now that
it probably is.
Yeah.
He's got horns on that helmet in various ways. Yeah. That's exactly what that is.
The Tory gates are the laser fields.
Yeah.
So you have to paint the blades, his with red energy, and then the others with the blue and green.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I immediately like that diorama even more than I did before.
Really good. You see, even just the bridge and the Tory gates. That would be a really nice, just like terrain piece to put on your table.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do they have any little terrain pieces in here? Or are they all?
Oh well, there's the gate on its own.
There's the gateway itself, but mostly it's just dioramas or miniatures.
Yeah,
they seem to have
superhero landing striker.
They seem to have lent quite heavily on the sci-fi side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think I think that's where a lot of their custom comes from.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, because that's where they originally started out, was creating the sci-fi bits for you to make Space Marines and Orcs basically on the tabletop, but with the Puppets War bits. And as they've gone on, they've kind of developed and changed things up and stuff. But Yeah, so it makes sense for them to sort of focus on that as their digital assets as well, I think. So, yeah.
Wow.
I like it.
Again, very Enforcer, I would go with that, maybe.
Yeah.
Paint it up in big white armor. Very nice.
Let people know you're coming.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Do any tanks? Or is it all characters?
Well, there were a couple of vehicles that we saw at the start, but I think a lot of it is
but
based
I don't
around
think there's anything bigger than a bike.
Yeah, because there's
Or a walker, I suppose.
Jaeger Prime bikers, Night
Orcs
Prime
in
bikers.
Buster armor.
I think it's mostly jet bikes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Bikes seem to be the order of the day. We'll show this
Winged
one
Warriors.
just so that you get to see it then, Ben, because I know you want to.
That's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, a really nice take on the Guardians.
Zoom, zoom. Like Tron. Just do all the glow lines.
Oh yeah,
He fights for the users.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Be amazing. Tron was
I know.
awesome.
I can't.
I hate children for not watching Tron Legacy, so I didn't get my third.
I really enjoyed Tron Legacy.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
but the children didn't go and see it, so they didn't make enough money, so they didn't make a third one. I hate you
they've even
children. I
done
hate you so much.
an attack bike variant, Heavy Prime Raider.
Like prime beef. Ba-doo.
Oh, that's nice that it's just a little turret on it.
Why have someone sit in the side seat when you can fire the gun yourself?
Yeah.
Or automated.
Or
Yeah.
automated.
Yeah. It is the future after all.
But yeah, if you're interested in picking up some sort of Puppets War stuff in digital format, then you can do that over on the web store. Go and see what you think of it and have a little bit of fun with that stuff. And of course, make sure to go and check out the rest of their resin collection and all that stuff as well, because they do really nice bits and pieces for a whole range of different armies. So if you like physical stuff, they've got you sorted, but there is digital. And as you saw up in the top corner, there's also a little Patreon link there as well. So go and click on that, but I'll make sure there's a link down below as well.
I do wonder, can you buy the digital stuff as physical from them?
Most of the stuff that you saw there are kind of variants of it in the resin stuff, but obviously that will go down a big rabbit hole with that stuff. But if you like the look of, for example, the samurai power armored warriors, there are versions of that stuff in their resin range, so you can go and check those out and basically just put them on top of Primaris bodies and all sorts of different things. So yeah.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
That just leaves us with a couple of Kickstarters then to polish off another week's hefty showing. And we're going to be starting off with a hefty bit of 3D printing, actually. So this is the free trader Beowulf from Second Dynasty for Traveller. If people are not aware of Second Dynasty, they've done a few ships before in 28 mil that are modular and open lock system of their own design. They did one Traveller, I think the S-type, prior to this, but now the Beowulf is on its way, and it's a stonkingly huge bird. I want to say it was 83 centimeters, I think.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there is a section in this where it shows, someone holding it.
Yeah. So there's Ben. They've been working on this for a little while. You can see some of the other ships behind it. They do ridiculous stuff for tabletop gaming. Now, Traveller obviously is a massive RPG. It's had like 5 editions. There's currently 2 running simultaneously. Mongoose have like a rules light version that they've licensed, but the original designer still has his 5th. So 5T Traveller is going strong, which has got all the bells and whistles. And this Kickstarter is for not only the Beowulf, but also a whole host of ship design plans, plus the virtual tabletop stuff for Roll20 as well. So if you want to play online with people far away, you can do that. But I mean, the ship itself is...
They keep showing this map, but if you open the ship, does it have all those decks in it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and above and beyond that, they've actually partnered up with like a lighting company. So there's actually a kit you can buy specifically for this ship that's designed just to go in, so you're not having to solder things together yourself. You just pop it into what's already there.
That's that big nut he's opening up.
So it uses
I love it. It's so good.
I think the open lock system is used for here, but there will be some variations available, so you can change around some of the bits and pieces. And while they've tried to keep it as close to the Beowulf's floor plans as possible, when they actually came to physically realize them, there were going to be issues with some things based on where the various components are meant to be within the ship itself.
Yeah, like so staircases coming down on rounded hull segments.
Yeah, so things have been stretched or tweaked or changed to get a playable version. Those are the actual X-Wing scaled size ships they've done, about 30 of those already. But, I mean, if you want to play out with the sort of the fleet combat, you can do that as well. But the guys over at Second Dynasty have been working on this for about a year, and you can tell because by Grabthar's hammer.
Yeah.
Oh my lord, there's a lot of stuff going on in there.
It's ridiculous the amount of detail they've went into, though, to design each and every component, from cryo chambers to med beds to control consoles to all the cargo to all of the power generation stuff, thrusters, the works.
Yeah, and this is it's not one of the campaigns that's going to blow up massively. They have a very defined set of parameters for it, because already you're looking at a ship that's so big it's going to take you probably a month to print. So they didn't want to do loads and loads of stretch goals. Instead, there's some changes and alterations that will be available. So upgraded engine bays, things like that. Because for people who played Traveller, this is a very iconic ship because it's one that they spend an awful lot of time in, going from place to place. Because as soon as you can junk your terrible starting ship, you want something with a bit more meat on it and with a bit more capacity. And the Beowulf really is the way to go for that. And once you've got something that works, you don't tend to move around a lot. I have seen some people asking for some of the large Dreadnought style ships. You're going, it's never going to happen.
Do you want that in 28 mil?
Yeah, you need something like our old Predator to print that out.
Even then, you need something like a warehouse to actually assemble it in 28 mil. It would be bigger than hall. It would be bigger than most buildings. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of kit, and really nice to see that they're expanding the Traveller range further, and this time sort of taking it slightly beyond, not just going, well, here's your ship, but here's the ship, here's the deck plans, and they're both physical and VTT. So you can really go nuts.
I mean, I am looking at getting a new FDM printer before Christmas, so honestly, I would be very tempted to give it a bash running one of these out.
Yeah. All the previous ships from other things are in there as well. So we've looked at things like the Chimera and stuff before. These are not Traveller. These are Second Dynasty's own ones. But it means if you've not come across them before and you fancy having something like Schleppnir sitting in the middle of a tabletop, there's a lot of stuff that is, let's say, sci-fi adjacent. So you look at it and you go, that's got very Star Wars look to it in concept and design, or this has got a very Eagle concept on it. So, Space 1999. But they've got these very sort of inspirations that are tied together to make something that's uniquely theirs, but at the same time will fit within so many worlds. So, I mean, if you want to stick a crashed shuttle onto the tabletop for a game of Stargrave, it will work. If you want to be fighting grim dark games of one-page rules or 40k around these things, that does also
just play an entire game inside one of these.
And you could, especially for the likes of the Stargrave, where you've got small crews.
Yeah, and a couple of these would be really good with the War Games Atlantic models we looked at last week with the bugs and the Marines.
Yeah, the Hoorah. But yeah, the funding campaign has been going great guns since it started, and as you can see, they have a whole host of additional bits and pieces, like little sort of shuttle bugs that you can drop down on, and even some of their crews and stuff from the previous Kickstarter. So a lot of this is already available on their website. So if you just like to pick the stuff up immediately, you can go ahead and grab a lot of their earlier work straight off the site.
I like the little cars. They're like Johnny Cabs.
Yes. Yes, they are. And sometimes if you're doing donuts around the Martian landscape, you'll need a Johnny Cab.
Drive!
I mean, you could do sci-fi Gaslands with those.
Oh, sci-fi Gaslands would be great, especially then writing rules for 0G.
Yeah.
When you do a handbrake turn, you just keep floating for some time. In fact, you don't need to. Just go and get the full thrust rules. That already has vectored movement in it, which is just great. Oh, vectored movement is amazing. Anyway, as you can see, there's a whole slew of ships available, and the Starship Miniatures Kickstarter edition, these are the Ickle tiny ones, which work on like a 1-inch hex base, but the ships themselves may be massive. So I think that's actually scaled for X-Wing.
I like that they're designed to run on both SLA and FDM printers.
Yeah. Well, I think these days you pretty much have to cover all bases.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be chucking about with an SLA at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, whether you're into resin or filament, they've got plenty of stuff in there. And like I say, there's a few little quality of life upgrades coming, but none of them are going to massively bloat out the campaign itself. So it's really just a case of getting it all done and dusted and getting ready to do the Lord's own work.
Yeah, there's the light kits I was on about.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It's like EA something.
Yeah.
Is the company.
Does anybody know what they've printed this on? Is this the FDM version or the resin version we're looking at?
This looks like an FDM.
Maybe you can't fit this in a resin bed.
Well, unless you're getting something like the Saturn or the new Jupiter that's coming out with like a 16-inch like bed on it for resin printing.
Ooh.
No, you can still print this on a resin because it uses that modular system. So you're never printing more than a particular size.
But I think something like the big nose component that we saw running out in the first video might be too big.
No, I'm still fairly certain it can all be sliced down if it's not already pre-sliced.
Scroll back up, it'll say if it's SLA optimized.
Yeah, under the Beowulf one.
Probably would have been the FAQ at the bottom. I was almost
scroll down.
Go back down a bit.
Beowulf.
Keep going.
There we go. FDM
says
FDM optimized.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you could probably try and cut it up a bit, maybe even more if it didn't fit. But there are bigger beds coming out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the Saturn and the Jupiter that are coming soon. What's the company? It's the one that John uses.
No idea.
I forget completely. Sorry.
There you go. You're all forgetting stuff it's catching.
Yeah. I was going to say the Sleipnir, obviously, cool ship, right? I was thinking you just paint that orange and suddenly you can have a grand day out with Wallace and Gromit. It looked just like it. So there we go.
Cheese, Gromit.
Right, there are 21 days left. It's already funded. So if you're after a bit of sci-fi shippery, then you can do that. However, now for something completely different. Ben, what's our last Kickstarter?
So next up, we're going to be diving into the world of Monty Python, the funny world of Monty Python, the quirky world of Monty Python, because this is Monty Python's new role-playing game. I mean, sorry, it's not a role-playing game.
No, it isn't.
This is Monty Python's Cocurricular medieval reenactment program, which is actually a role-playing game, but it's not. Anyway, be serious about this, not silly. But anyway, so this is a game for you to dive into where you can play in the zany, weird, medieval world of Monty Python. Think the Holy Grail and all that good stuff.
Where's my coconuts?
Did I just see a Dystopian?
There is a Dystopian. That we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that game because that's another thing that's part of this. So yeah.
separate yet different.
Separate yet different. So this is a game where you dive in and take on the role of quirky medieval characters from the world of Monty Python and the Holy Grail and all that kind of stuff. And you will go on wacky quests. And leading the way will be your head of light entertainment, who takes on the role of the GM. Mm-hmm. But as this is a Monty Python game, the head of light entertainment can die in spectacular fashion and be replaced with somebody else if you want to, which I think is very, very nice indeed.
Yeah. Well, the way it works is, because I may have backed this, the way it works is currently there are 14 heads of light entertainment or holds, and they go on top of the GM screen, and they come with a predefined set of things that they want their
They have like a way that they act.
Yeah. So your head of light entertainment might want less silliness and more factual accuracy, or, more silliness and more cameos from famous people, or whatever happens to be. So when you're GMing the game, the GM now actually has a role to play as well as the players, and the players have to remember what the head of light entertainment wants, because otherwise that may adversely affect how the crew get together.
Question. There are 3 dice here that I have never seen before.
Oh, you should get out more there.
A D14, a D16, and a D18. What the fluff?
Yeah.
I'll go one step further. They could have finished the silly line on a D3 and choose not to, and I'm kind of disappointed in them for that.
Is it a stretch goal?
No.
So the game works on that serious to silly scale, and those kind of like are your dice that you'll be using to roll for any kind of tests that you need to do and all that kind of stuff. And then alongside that, you've got both struthing and spamming, I think is the other one.
Yes, spam's on one.
where if you roll the highest value, then you're doing really well and your dice get to upgrade. But if you spam, then your dice go down a level. And there's also a really fun little rule in there where if you're becoming too good, then the head of light entertainment can decide that you're being too serious and just downgrade your dice, which I think is really fun.
So hang on, we do know Jerry's going to spam a lot.
Yes, basically.
Pretty much. I'll be sitting on a D4 for the whole game.
Yeah.
It's far too silly. But yeah, so the mechanics themselves are very Python-esque. I mean, they're absurdist, which I love. You also get demerits and merits that you can cash in at various points when you feel you need to, which allow you to sort of buy dice upgrades or buy, what's it they call it in D&D 5th? Advantage. So you've got you get 2 dice and then pick. But yeah, things like having the Black Beast of Arg and the Dragon of Agnor and stuff, and the illustrations are absolutely gorgeous.
They're amazing.
They are, darling.
Yeah. The layout of the book and the way that they've chosen some of that classic Python-esque artwork as well is brilliant, and the way that it's been designed. So.
But I think
I love the way there's just like random little funny bits.
Yeah. The whole kit and caboodle.
Specs, pages, yes. Colors, ravishingly full.
So, I mean, even the way they've set out the Kickstarter is very Python-esque in many respects. But yeah, the Kyle Patterson's artwork has a really nice blend of fantasy and Python to it. He's captured both very, very well. Yeah. There's a really nice update where it sort of gives you a good idea. Here we go. So they blew through their funding on day one in a couple of hours and blew through all the stretch goals a couple of hours after that. So you ended up with this. With this update. Those who pledged physical reward tier before that time have booked passage to the wondrous island of sash-wearing persons. Metaphorically speaking, there is no such island yet, and now I'm being told that we have an update on additional stretch goals from our additional stretch goal update desk. Over to you, Nigel. Right. We remain sans Nigel. However, I am told that Nigel's notes regarding the stretch goals have in fact been recovered. Top marks there, Henrietta, and we'll be publishing those next week. Until then, have a lovely Nigel-filled weekend. Thank you. Exalted Nigel, creative Nigel. And the whole way they're running this Kickstarter is hilarious. I enjoy getting every little thing from them.
It is tickling my funny bone.
Yeah. As far as the actual game itself goes, so I suppose we should come back to Fetch-Levash.
Yes.
There are various levels like you'll always get. So nice faux leather and printed with goldy bits and stuff, and
the public school edition.
Yeah. You see where I've gone. Let's just skip past that so people don't think I get paid too much. So Fetch-Levash, it's not actually needed for the game.
No, it's something entirely different.
It's entirely
entirely different. Okay.
You can just play backgammon or use a backgammon board if you've got one, if you want to introduce it. However, as a stretch goal, actually they've added a third game variant with this, although we don't know what that is yet. What could be better than what could be better than 2 game variants with 1 box? 5? No, not 5. 3. But, anyway. So you can play regular backgammon, or you can play like a Squash the Peasant, where you're attempting to drop cows on peasantry.
Yeah. You have to capture the cows and run them across the field with your pieces, whilst avoiding flying animals from the catapults and the dice, and also the insults of Frenchmen, which is the way to go, I believe.
It's very much the way to go.
All right.
Here's the dice again. What's your favorite color?
For the dice? For the weird dice?
Yeah.
I like the maroony pink one.
I like the blue one. No green. No green.
The bright one.
Oh, God,
I like the D14 and D18s and stuff like that are particularly good. The D30 is the super special serious dice. I think it's called like the SSSD. And you only get to use it on like your character's specific like trait roll.
Right.
Otherwise it's separate and distinct. But yeah, you see.
If we ever get this under camera, I'm saying it right now. Dibs on playing the peasant.
I would have thought nothing less.
Play to your strengths. Isn't that what they say?
Damn right.
Is the heads changeable then?
Yes. So the head of light entertainment screen, the GM screen, has a little cutout bit where you put a head on, and there are various ones, and so they can be swapped out. So your players can look up and see which head of light entertainment or whole they should be attempting to placate for this particular session.
I really love that as a guide for a GM, though, as well, because having that kind of behavior almost of how they should approach things will mean that you a little bit of that weight is lifted off you when it comes to the storytelling side of things, which I think is really nice.
Superiority invoked exponential.
The other thing that's really good about this is that so many role-playing games, especially fantasy role-playing games, descend into a kind of madness anyway. Yeah. So having a game like this, which reinforces the silliness of it, I think is really fun. So.
Well, it's like one of my favorite games to play whenever it's just like a travel game is Monty Python Flux. Because it's
Flux
just
is good.
Yeah, but regular Flux is good. But some people can take it a little too seriously. When it's Monty Python Flux, it's just like, no, all bets are off.
Travel game. That's cool. So it's probably not that heavy then. A swallow could probably carry this.
Yes.
If not one, then maybe two.
But which kind? African or European?
I don't know that. Anyway.
I have to say, Jerry is not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Why not both? But yeah, it's an interesting group of people who obviously have a real passion for Python.
Yeah.
Also, they have a real passion for Borg as well, which is how I know them.
This is Exalted Funeral helping out, isn't it? So
yeah. So I happened to be on their website one day looking at their Mork stuff, and then seeing this was coming. I was like, click now to be notified. It's like, okay then. All right. Do you even need to tell me anymore? No, you don't. But yeah. Terrific set of people sticking together.
Oh, is it funded?
Is it funded?
Massively.
Make everyone sick. There we go.
Oh yeah, massively
1.3 million.
Yep.
Most of that's from Jay, by the looks of it.
Don't worry about that.
Well, he has his hand in the pot.
What else am I going to spend it on? Whiskey? Well, yes, that as well. But there are 20 days left for Monty Python's Curricular Medieval Reenactment program.
Not a role-playing game.
Not a role-playing game. So if you want to back that, you can, and you can get it in a variety of flavors from PDF up to upper class twit, depending on how mad you want to be. And I think we've been mad enough for this Halloween weekend. Swaying, if you fancy going old school. We shall return on Sunday, Devil's Night, my new favorite holiday. For more of the same with our cult of games over on tabletop.com. And if you're not already a cultist, you can join us for a 30-day trial. Otherwise, we shall return next Friday. Until then, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.